Okay, so this is a brand new class. Okay, it's a new topic in Selenium, which is called testng. Testng. First, we'll know what is testng. Testng is a unit test framework that gives you control on your automation. So testng is a part of framework. You can see pretty much it's a heart of your framework. Testng. It's give you lots of features and benefits that makes dynamic or robust your framework. What we mean by the framework, like it's a very organized way, give you central control of your testing, of your test suite. That's the framework. Framework is nothing, it's very organized way. It's give you more control, central control of your test cases. That's the framework. And there is some tools, and specifically for Selenium, there's a testng is one of that tool. It is in fact a plugin tool in Selenium. So it doesn't come with the Selenium directly, but it's a part of Selenium. So this tools is available in Selenium family. All you have to we have to add that plugin, this testng, in our test cases in Selenium code in our project. We have to add that one, or plugin. That plugin we have to add in our project, and then we have to convert our test cases as a testng plugin or as a testng supported code. Okay, we'll see how to do this. So for now, testng is a plugin and used as a test framework that gives you control on your automation. Example, how control, or how much control, or what what's the benefit it gives you. When you say control, example, you have a 200 test cases as a smoke test. You have a 500 test cases in your regression. So out of 500 test cases, we want to select 100 test cases as a smoke test. So since it's a smoke test is the sub test of your regression, you don't want to write the same test case again. So out of 500, you can just select, okay, what 100 test cases I want to make as a smoke test. You can make specify those 100 test cases from out of 500 without rewriting the same test cases separately in a separate project. The same project, you can make them separate, and it will run as a smoke test. As well as when you run your regression test, those 100 test cases with the rest of the 400 will also run together. So it's giving you more control. It's giving you more control the way you want to execute your test cases in your project. Number two, say you have a 5 class, right? 5 different class, not one class. Where up until now we have seen that we create a separate class for every single event, every single exercise, right? Say for calendar, we create a calendar class, and all the code was the code was related with the calendar test, right? So in real life, in one class, you will have multiple test cases, not one test cases, right? So because up until now we have learned how to handle different scenario, but when you're going to work on actual project, you will have a class. In a one class, you will not have only one test case. You can do it, it's up to you, but most of the times people, they create a class based on the page name. Say example, this is your example, this is your your page, right? Your application, and this application, this is the page. Over here you are going to do test. So in this page there is not only one test cases, there's a lot of test cases. Maybe you have to verify the form field, you have to verify to field, you have to verify calendar field, right? So each and every scenario, you have to create a separate test. So what they do usually, you will have a one single class. Probably you will give a name. This is like home page. What if it's a home page, like path to USA home page, whatever you say, .java. So your class will be based on the page, and that page whatever the number of test cases or scenario you need to test, you are going to write all the test cases in one class. So you will have example another class for different pages. So every class you will have a multiple test cases. So if you want in a one class you select one test cases, in another class you select another test cases. So no matter what, how many classes you have, you select how many test cases, and you can run only those test cases if you want. Like when you are going to run the smoke test, 100 smoke tests out of 500, definitely those 100 test cases will be divided in numbers of classes, right? So how are you going to segregate this? You can through this testng. So testng have the power that help you groupize some of the test cases out of some others, so that you can just run those groups whenever you need. Okay, so that's one of the example that testng give you the more control on your system. On the other hand, if you want to run all of them, you can run all of them. So here we have all different practice classes and individual classes. Would you able to run all of them at the same time, just one click? Like for this one, we have to run right click and then we run, right? But we haven't seen, or we haven't find any way to run all the test cases when you need at the same time, one after another. The testng will give you that features too. Run all the classes, all the test cases by one shot. Okay, so that's give you more control. Is it clear? And then you can create, say example, for our calendar. Let's go to the calendar. Each and every classes, right? We have those are the very common thing, right? This is the very common thing. Like your it's a prerequisite. You use the set properties. You use the whatever the your key of your driver and where your driver is located. And then it's the relation between the web driver, Chrome driver. You want to do maximize your window or not. Those are, as well as your URL of your application. Those are the very common. Those are the very common or prerequisite code that you need. You need to have it before each and every your class is run. So if it's the same application, those are the repeated test cases, repeated code. So testng give you control, so that's common prerequisite code you can just write one time and it will be applicable, will be executed before any other, for every test cases when you are going to run, every class you are going to run. Is that giving you a little bit idea what the testng can help you, guys?
Yes.
Right? And then, since as I said, in a real life, in a class, one class you will have lots of test cases, not only one. Since you are going to write your test cases by the page, and one page there will be not only, usually it's not a one test cases, it's not a one scenario, there's lots of scenarios. So you put all the related scenario by the test cases. And then if you want to just exclude, so you want to run one class, you have 5 test cases, you want to run 4 of them, you don't want to run one of them. So it could happen. So some of the application, you have a web application and also mobile version. So you put write all test cases, mobile and web, for the same pages in the same class. But you are going to run your test cases. Right now you are going to run your test cases for web application, not mobile. That time you want to exclude your mobile test cases. That you can do. So there is a one central place, testng. It's give you the control where you can allocate. You can declare, okay, from that class I want to exclude some of the specific method. I can similarly you can include also. Okay, and also here since one class have a multiple test cases, now the question is, which test case will run first, which one is going to be run after. You can set priority also by the testng. Okay, so testng have a tremendous number of benefits. That's create your automation and build a dynamic framework, and gives you much more control the way you want in terms of your requirement. Okay, so that's the testng. So we'll learn more by doing. Okay, it's better to when we're going to exercise, it's gonna be makes it more clear. So we have the document. In our notes you will see the testng plugin to Selenium. So we'll follow the doc. It has pretty much all of the information over here, but you will understand one by one when you are going to work on these steps. So first of all, we're going to install this testng in your Selenium, in your project. Okay, so let's create a new project in our Eclipse. Let's create a new project in your Eclipse. Give a name. I would say similar, probably Testng tutorial, like this. So create a new Java project. Just for now, create a Java project and give a name. Remember, that's how we can create a file, then the new, then Java project, and then we'll convert this Java project it will be still based on Java, but it will support it to testng. So we'll do it later on. So first now, Java project, give a name over here, give a name testng tutorial, and then finish it. Okay, nice. So everyone have the new project, testng exercise. Good. Now let's go to let me show you where the testng. Okay, this is their site for testng, testng.org. If you go there, testng.org. This is the site here. Okay, testng subregion. Okay, here this is the testng official site. Okay, and then what do you want to do? You want to add on Eclipse, right? Testng Eclipse is our editor, so based on our Eclipse, click on Eclipse, and then you can see here, there is a follow the instruction, the installation, the plugin. So it means you can install the testng plugin in Eclipse, which is our project, right? I'm just showing you, it's not like you have to remember all those things. It's already given in our note too. So it's saying this the requirement, you need a Java 1.7. It's required us to run a testng on Eclipse. We all have a 1.8. So far it's fine, where all is good. Here you can see it's saying installation from update sites. This is the instruction. You can that's a place where I got the instruction. So its instruction is over here. What do you have to do to install the testng in your Eclipse project? So what do you have to do in your Eclipse? You have to go help, install new software. So you will see there is a help button at the top on your menu bar on your Eclipse. Then up there, there is a work with field, and copy with this, the link. This link, just make sure you copy it without the last dot. If there is a dot at the end, they put it in by mistake. Okay, copy it. So what do you have to do? It's the same thing. It's already given there. You don't have to go. This is just address I put, but it's not like you have to go. You can go to Eclipse and then go to the help. Same thing I said, help, then install new software. So if you go here, you can see there is a help, install new software, and then over here work with field, you will place the copy and place the link is given there. Either it's good to know, from the site, because sometimes they change it. Last probably 6 months ago it was different, they changed the link. So maybe I will always update the node, but if you don't have the up-to-date node, 1 year later you'll see it's not working. But this is the place where you can find it, and you will know it when you're gonna work. You will be always up to date. So this is the link over here, or you can see it's also I put the same link. So anyways, so you go there, and then in your Eclipse you put it the work with field with this link, and then hit enter. If you hit enter, you will see it's going to start to search, and then you will see testng supposed to show up over here. Are you following, guys?
Yes.
So the first time it may take probably few seconds, 20-30 seconds. So after it comes, it shows, and then you check off this, and then you click on next, and then finish it.
Sharif, my finish button is not enabled.
It's not. Did you click on next?
Yeah, I click next.
Then what's happened? So it will download lots of library API. So, and after that, so is that going on like this, like you can see on my screen?
Yeah, mine is going on like that.
So let it finish that part. Like it is downloading a lot of stuffs. So it may take few minutes, or may 1 or 2 minutes.
So it's done, but finish.
But if it's done, it's fine. It should be fine.
Again the next.
If there is a more next, click on next. Don't do anything else. Just just go ahead with the next button. Unless it's until it comes to the finish. And after you did the finish, when it's done, it's better to have a restart your Eclipse. It means completely close your Eclipse and reopen.
Installing unsent software for which the authenticity or validity not visible.
So you will see, this operation cannot be complete. See the details. Okay, and I'm going with the error. Okay, now don't worry about my one. So because I have already this. So I'm canceling this window. Okay. So you have, after you click on next, if there is a more next comes, just go ahead. Just go do the more next, and then finish it. And when it's done, it's better to restart. Just to restart, it means you close the window. Click on close. Close your Eclipse, and then reopen it.
I got an error.
Yeah.
This is a warning: installing unsigned software for which the authenticity of the validity cannot be established. Continue with the installation.
Yeah, continue the installation.
Install anyway.
Yeah, or install anyway. After it's reported, we'll confirm that whether testng installed in our Eclipse or not. There's a way we can confirm. Okay, we'll see. Because we have to reconfirm that it's a testng. It's already in your Eclipse. And in testng it works with it's Eclipse, or some people they use IntelliJ. So whatever your editor, it's fine, it will work. Just you have to know how to plug in this testng in your editor. So for this Eclipse, that's the way you can going to add or plug in this editor. This in your Eclipse. So let me know when everyone is start. So if it's ready, so how we can confirm is very simple. In your Eclipse, go to the window tab, and then you will see the preferences, window preferences, and then you may see this testng up there, or if it's not, you just type test and you can see it will show the testng. If it shows the testng there, or you can see it's already here, it means you have the testng successfully installed in your Eclipse. Everyone good?
It shows the left side box.
Yeah, on your left hand side navigation bar.
Yeah.
Like this, right?
Yes.
You can see the testng is here, or you can just if it's not there, just type the testng. You will see it will show the result. There will be testng. Rajiv, you got it?
My installation is still going on.
Oh, okay. So it's sometimes it's depends on the machines. Sometimes it's a little bit, if the machine is a little slow or some reason. You are still searching is going on, or you rebooted it?
No, I didn't reboot yet. It says installing software.
Okay, yeah. So then go ahead and if there is it's find error or something, just select the anyway install it, or just click on next. Moving forward, up until now we have seen we created a class, and our main code, the code we wrote, it was inside the main method. Remember, we always had the main method. We have to make sure that our code is our calling code, our main code is inside the main method, right? So that was our pretty much exercise we have learned, right? So anything we open this, so we had, say example, we had an alert class we created, and our code, we put all of our code inside the main method, right? But in testng, you will see the benefit started from the first line. The testng, you don't have to worry about main method. Forget about main method. You don't need to worry about it. So there will be no main method. There is a main method behind the scene. That's the testng library. It's already built in, and it's coming from the testng library API. But you don't have to worry. The reason why testng, because when you have the main method, we said all of your code should be, we have seen all of our code we wrote inside the main method. But in testng allow you, it means one test cases, you put pretty much one scenario or one test cases. But as I said, in a real life, in one class, you will have a multiple test cases. So every test case will become under a method. Just remember, once again, I'm telling, all of the test case, each and every test case. Like here, it's just only one test case, like alert. We test the alert function, how the alert function is working or not. So in one page, you may not only have the alert function, you may have a lot of other test cases, right? So you have to put, usually you are going to put all the test cases in one class, which is then class name would be by your page name of your application. So how your test cases was going to be separated by one with another. That's why they removed the main method, and instead of main method they said, you are going to create, you have to create you are going to create different method for a different test cases. So you will give a test cases, like over here we create a main method first and we write all the code inside the main method. This is like only one method. But in testng they said you don't have to worry about the main method. All of your code is going to be under the main method behind the scene, and testng will take care of that part. Instead of that, you are going to more focus to creating a method based on no matter what, how many test cases you are going to write under this class. So example, you have a class, example car web login. This is our one class. Just think. And here you can see I create a method. There is no main method. You can see in this class there is no main method because I use a testng in this project. And in this, assume that in this class you have a lots of different test cases. As I said, every test cases have to be under a method. So you have to write the method or function. As example, I create a method, say I give a name, it's a dummy method, but you in real life you are going to create a method which is going to be, and you will give the name of the method which is make more sense, right? Say you are going to test a method, this test case is going to be related with alert function. Then maybe you are going to give a name over here, public void alert. So it will be and then this, and inside this method you will write all the code related with alert. And then maybe another one is test for search box. So you will give a name to search box, search box testing, whatever the name you are give a method, it's up to you. But usually people, they give the name which is makes sense and more related with the test you are going to do by this method. Okay, so here is an example. Here is a one method, and then inside this method you have a testing code, and there is another method. Inside the method you have another testing code, all the testing code. So all those are method. Like this is another mobile login. Maybe in the same page you have your application is both support mobile and web application. So you write some test cases for the same page. Give the name with the web login, example web login, and then this is the code related to the web page. And the mobile login, code related to the mobile. So it says number of test cases for the same page, and you put all of them inside a one class. That's the real life, that's what happened. So now that's how it's possible. It's possible by the testng. Testng said testng allow you to use a lot of annotation. Annotation is like at the rate, and then there is some reserved word, like you can see test parameters, after test, and in those annotation, each and every annotation have a different meaning, and that's give you different benefits. So you have to know all those different annotation that you can use with your test cases with the method. And you write all the annotation right before your method. So one common annotation which is at the rate test. If you write any method, any test method, the method when I say it's called, it means this is one of the specific test case, and you create a function. So now moving forward, no matter what, how many test cases you write, or even single test cases, your test cases have to be inside a method. Okay, so you have to be now, that's why remember that the beginning of Java class we learn about method or function, how to create a method. right? I hope that I don't have to go back behind that part that give you the lecture about the method. Like your method will have a name, and your method will have a public access modifier, either public, private. Remember those things, and then it will be return type. Before your name, there will be return type. Return type depends on inside the method what you're returning, right? If you return anything, any specific return, so whatever the type of the data, your method return type would be the exactly same. If you don't return anything, if there is nothing return, it's just printing statement, you're displaying something, your method return type would be void. And then those are the parameter. Your method, inside the method you may have a empty parameter, or you may have a more than one parameter. It depends on how you're writing your method, what's your necessary. I hope you remember that part, right? If you forget how to create a method, please go back that lecture related to our Java, and just brush yourself. We have a video related also, the tutorial related also about the method in Java lecture. So in YouTube you can find our previous lecture, go back. Okay, so I hope that's why now it's the more use cases about the Java we are going to use in our application. So you write a method, and all of your test case, every single test case will be under one method. So how your method or your test cases will understand, how your code is going to understand this is a test case, by using let's do one more thing. Let's create a package. So you have a source folder, right, in your practice, Testng tutorial, right? There's a source folder, right, everyone? And inside a source folder, let's create a package. It's called test. So we all have the similar type of stuffs. So right click on your source folder, go and create a package, select a package and give a name here, test, like I wrote, TEST, and make sure, if you don't want to make it confused, just write the exactly the same way. T is lowercase, all of our lowercase, because what will happen if you wrote different way, and if you get a help the code from my one, because I will share lots of code from my exercise, you will just create a class and you will paste up there. It will not match if you have just anything name, like your package name, it's different, even though just uppercase, difference between upper and lowercase, because case testing Java is very case sensitive. If you write anything, any package, any class or methods, the way you wrote first time, if you need to reuse those things, and if you don't write exactly the same way, it will not able to recognize it, and it will throw an error. So since I'm going to share a lot of code with you guys for this practice, and you will just copy and paste. So to make it match, just let's make sure that we all write the same way as you see in my screen. So your package name, give a name, test. Are you okay? I'm not mute. Okay, I thought I'm mute.
Sorry, yeah. I do one thing, like the project name, I write the tutorial, T is lowercase.
Yeah, the project name, it's fine. The project name is fine. Just make sure the package name, it's because we're not going to share. There is no code like you will have a project name. Just make sure that you have the right exactly the same way with the package name, as well as moving forward you will create some of the classes. The class name is exactly the same way.
We should not just check the checkbox, right? There is checkbox?
No.
Okay.
Create package, no. And then just to finish it. So you will have it a package called test, like this. So now you don't have any classes, that's fine. We'll create class later on. So all you have the package, test package.
Yes.
Okay, in your test package, this is the very first understanding exercise, the class we are going to create. this is not the part of our full the practice full in the project. So you can give a just create a class. So you right click on your package. So when you're going to create a class, it's like it should be under your package. So right click on your test package, new, select a class and give a name. Like over here I have a base 1. You can keep a base 1, it's up to you, or you can give it just exercise, whatever it is. This is just exercise to understand some of the annotation. Then I will explain more in details all of the annotation. Then we're going to do some real exercise by different class, like day 1, day 2. So those things have to be matched. So this is over here. You may give it just I have already one base. I can use this page, this class. So you can create just give a exercise, say exercise class. So write a class name, same thing, similar like an exercise. And then make sure you don't put now over here, since we said in testng we're not going to use main method. I mean visually we're not going to use, so don't check out this, just leave it as it is, and then click and finish. Okay, so you are in exercise class. Okay, so everybody have the similar like this.
Yes.
So we have a exercise class. This is your first class in your test package. And here, say I'm going to do some very simple method. As I said, it's going to be, we are going to use some dummy method, not real application testing method, because we want to put more focus to understand that how the testng works, right? So we'll say, let's create a method, public void. My tips and tricks when you're going to create a method, start with public. Most of the times 99% you are going to use, so your method would be the public. In some case you may have to create a method with a private. It's up to you. You will understand when you need, if you want to make it private. But public, then return type, put a void. You can change this later on based on inside information of what you are returning. Then you can update. Eclipse will suggest you change your return type. So for now, when you start like this. I create a method. This is the same format I follow. Public void, and then give a name. Say I'm giving you a name, demo. Okay, giving a name demo1. So but it's going to be a very meaningful method when you are going to give a name of your method. Okay, so nothing here, method. Okay, this is a body of method, and then here I'll just put very simple printing statement, sys out. Cannot. Sometimes I don't know what's happening. Okay, anyways, system why is not cannot access index out of bounds. Why index out of bounds? Something. Okay. Let's figure it out. I think I do have some issue on my Eclipse. Let me restart it. Now it's working. There was something wrong with my Eclipse. So let's say I'll just put a simple printing statement. This is my first testng method. Okay, so this is very simple. So assume that this is one of the method. It's like one of the test cases. Okay, and then you have, and then this is your code inside the test case. So like we did all of the like testng, driver information, Windows maximize, then allocate the your locator, find the locator of your field or object, and then whatever perform you need to do. Assume that all that code is over here. So now, how, since there is no main method, how this your code is going to understand this is a test case number one, and what is that, and you are using a testng, so you don't have to use the main method. So to do this, first of all, testng use lots of annotation for different reason. So to understand this demo one, it's this method is one of your test case, pure test case. It's use one of the annotations called @ and then it's called test. @test. The @test is the annotation. It's a test annotation that will apply whatever the annotation you write. It right before your method, it will apply the immediate method. So this annotation will apply to immediate method like demo one. So your code will understand, okay, this demo one method is a pure test case. It will treat it as a test case. So put your annotation something like this, as I did, @test. Okay, write this, and you will see there is a error, is still error, because in your Eclipse now testng it's already added, but in this specific project, like we have a testng tutorial project, in this project doesn't have the knowledge about the testng. This project does not know that you want to use testng features in this project, or as well as in all of the the classes or methods. So your project needs the knowledge about the testng, which is already plugged in your Eclipse. So from the Eclipse, it will make more specific. You have to make it more specific so that this project get all of the library, because testng itself is nothing. It's API. It has lots of libraries, own function. Those are the annotation. Everything is code behind the scene. So you will just import all the code from your Eclipse for a specific project. So that's why still it doesn't have that knowledge. So you have to import the related steps. So if you hover your mouse, you will see it's asking you import test. You are saying it's asking you to import the test annotation, which is the part of over here org testng. We saw this, testng is a part of the org testng web application. We install it from this website. So that's why we're going to import this information API related to testng. Select the first one, import test org test annotation. Select this one. Okay, it's imported. So in your case, you may have the first option, select add testng library, because I already have the library in this project already. So that's why it didn't show. So if you have definitely you will have a red mark. So hover your mouse, you will see, in your case, it may give you the first option, this. After you move your cursor at the red test and then select add testng library. Please see this. If you have this function part first, do this one. Select this add testng library, and after that still there will be error under the testng annotation. Hover your mouse again, then select the project, the package, as I just did. The select import testng org testng. Guys, is that clear?
Yes.
So select add the testng library. You need to add the library first in your project, so that your project have all the knowledge, all the code behind the scene in this project related to the testng, and then import the specific the package that's for the test annotation.
Yeah, my one shows add just 1 second. My one shows create annotation test.
No, we're not, because it doesn't know. It doesn't have.
Just only shows two fixes. Like the first one is create annotation test, and the second one is fix project setup.
It didn't show you the add testng library.
No.
Okay, let's share your screen. I stopped sharing, and then you can share now. No, you wrote the test. It's with the lowercase. This test
Oh,
annotation is started with the uppercase. So remove the. This is not your package. This is that annotation, a reserved word. Now hover your mouse.
oh yeah.
Like
I
now you add. You say add testng library. The third one. Yeah. So after you add the library, now your project have the library, but it's still hold on, it's okay. Now still you have the error. So now you have a library, it means you have all the code in your project. Now import a specific package where this test annotation belongs to. So import the first one, import the test. You say the first one, import, yes. Now it's gone.
thank you.
Okay, now so you have the test. So now this method, this main demo method, it's understand your code. Now understand this method is a pure test case. It will treat as a test case. Now if you want, you can run it. Let's right click and run it. No, it's better to run,
From the right click,
yes.
why it says that?
It's asking you allow access. You give it access. Okay, because now you are going to run your test cases as a testng. So not you see, it's ran, and you can see now it's an interesting part. Okay, let's get back to, give me the screen. I will share my one. Now if I want to run this test case, okay, I'm going to run it. So if I right click, so moving forward, now your test case is running as a testng test case. So to run your test case, so let's, before we run it, we are going to convert you have to convert your test cases, your project, as a testng project. Okay, so before, all of our project was Java. Even we created this project as a, remember, when you create the project, you give a project as a Java. So still, it support the Java language, but on the top we're saying, we added the testng, and testng is a type of framework. So we're going to convert our project as a testng framework. Okay, so that time, how you gonna do this? You are going to right click on your project, and you will see testng. There will be features. It's called testng. Did you see it? Everyone found it? Right click on your project and come up to testng at the very bottom. Nobody found it?
Yes.
So if you're in testng, then it has a two more option: create testng class and convert to testng. Select convert to testng.
Create or convert.
No, convert. So
Yeah.
it means we are converting our Java project to a testng project. So it's converted. So now your project is completely converted to testng as a testng project, and it has already the testng library. You already import the testng package for this test annotation. Now you can run your test cases as a testng instead of Java. So how you can run it? Right click, you will see, right click, run as. You will see now this option will be available, testng test. So you can run your test cases or your classes now testng test. Everybody found it?
Yeah, one box came.
Yeah, it will created another box. It's a testng box. It may create another one, call it reference
So
library.
I need to make it next and finish, or just the finish?
Finish it. you'll see there will be another file will be created. It's called testng.xml file. I will explain you
Yes,
those things.
yes.
Let's run this class first, and then I will explain you rest of the steps.
Just the regular run.
No, not regular now. Now you are going to run. Let's have a behave using your mouse to run it, not the button.
Oh, okay, so run as
Now
testing.
you will see, if you go to run as, you will see there is an option. Now it's testng test, and there is no option anymore. Is it run as Java? That part is gone.
Oh no, I have number 1 Java application, not the run as. Yeah, sure.
Go up run as, then you will see testng test.
Testing test. Okay, one test.
Anywhere in your class, just right click,
Yeah.
then run as. Make sure you convert your project to testng as I said first,
Yeah, I convert it.
and then if you right click run as, then you will see there is a testng test. Run as testng test.
Yeah, but I have the Java option.
That's
also.
fine. If you have a Java option, that's fine. If as long as you have the testng test, that's
Yeah,
our
I
focus.
have that one too. I pressed that one.
Okay. Monsieur,
Can
and
you just show me how to convert once again?
on your project, this is your project, right? This is the very
Yeah.
top. The right click on your project,
Okay.
then come to, there is an option, it's called testng,
Okay.
and then
That's what I
the
did.
second one is, you will see the convert to testng. Select this one
Okay.
and finish it, and you will see there will be some couple of more folder like testng, maybe the library, reference library, as well as you will see there is a testng.xml file will be automatically
Okay.
created.
Okay, got it. I ran it.
Okay, then
So it
then
says pass demo
yes,
1.
yeah, run as, and then testng. So if you run it, you will see it will show you some output on your console, and you will see now it's more like, it's a report. You will see it will say, give you some information in your console. It's a pass. It will give you pass or fail. It will say pass. What pass? This is the your test case or test case method, like you give a demo one, and then it will tell you inside more information. Default test, this is the only one test. So to test run 1, failure 0, skip 0. Sometimes we have to skip some of the test cases, we will see, but this time there is no skip. So that's like a report. Okay, and we have only one test suits. Right now we have only one test suits, which is right, we just test package, nothing else. So it's give you the, not only you'll see, not only it's give you the pass or fail information, but also it's give you the more information, like report, like how many test cases run. And now you say it's saying test run 1. So where this test runs once come? Because that we have one method and we declare this method under a test annotation. So it's considered this method is a pure test cases. Okay, is that clear? So that's one of the use case of annotation. Now in testng we have a lots of annotation. It's not only the test annotation. Sometimes what will happen, like as I said, sometimes we need some prerequisite before we run our test. We have to do something, like sometimes we need to remember in our class, every previous exercise, we have to write our actual what's called the driver information, like a driver key, driver location, then web driver equals to Chrome driver, and then the window maximize, we say delete the cookies. So those are very common thing. It's like a prerequisite stuff, environmental stuffs, information before we run. No matter what test case we run, we need those information first. Those are the very common information, right? So we can say those are the prerequisite code before we run our actual test. So testng have the different type of annotation, like it's called before test or before method, those, and then you have some another method. If you have another annotation, different annotation, like this at the rate test, there is an annotation, it's called before at the rate before test it, and then you will have a method, and then you put all of your code related your WebDriver information, so that method will run at the very beginning because of the annotation. So it has a lots of annotation, and every annotation have a different meaning and different timing to execute those methods. So if we know all the annotation meanings and use case, you can write your test cases, all the test cases, as you need, as per your necessity. So now it's important is to know all the different annotation, like at the rate test. At the rate test is a pure test cases, but as I said, some of the things we need to run before even test, right? Some of the things we need to run after even test. After even test, say example, you are doing some database connection testing, so you are connecting your application, your code to a database. So, and you pull some data, you do some query in your database, and you do the test, and but when the database testing is done, you have to disconnect, you have to log out from your database to and back to your original your script, and move to the next test case. So like after the test case is done, your in work is that make sure you are disconnected from your database. So this is something like your after job when you finish your actual test cases. So similarly, you clear your cache when your test case is done. So if you need to do any exercise, anything, perform anything, so after your test case is done, you need to write the code, and you need to make a different method so that it runs after your actual test case is completed. So for doing all those things, before, after, make a preference, which test case, if you have another test case, say example, let me make another test case. So I will give a name, demo2, and then I will say this is my second, okay, testng method. Okay, so here is your two method. So now which method will run first, which one will run later, how you gonna define it. This is important too. You have to give the serial, how you're gonna, so you have to maintain this. So if I save it, let's save it and run it again, testng test, you'll see it is now in this case it makes its own serial, like it says, okay, demo1 and demo2, demo1 is first, demo2 is second, but your name is not going to be like this. Your method name is going to be different name, right? So that time which one is going to run first, it doesn't matter, like you wrote this one, it will run first. That's not the a system. If you write this one, let's copy this one, and I'm going to put the demo1 last, demo2 first. Let's see what happened. Run it. Still you will see your output will show demo1 first and demo2 second, right? Even though you wrote the demo2 first. So it's not execution of your test cases, is not depends which one you write first, which one you wrote next. So this is important, but maybe you want to make your demo2 first and demo1 second. You can set up some preference by using another annotation from the testng. If you don't put any annotation, like if you don't put any in your choice, like any preference, like which one is going to run first, which one is going to run last, testng, it has its own alphabetical, it has its own process. It follows the alphabetical order based on your name. So whatever the name, your order would be follow alphabetical. Say you say here example, instead of demo2 you give a name, say hello. your method name is hello. Okay, save it. Let's see this. You'll see your demo one, it's ran first, even though it's you wrote it second, and hello it's execute next, because it follows its own alphabetical order. The alphabetical, so D is before H in in English letter, right? So that's why it's first. But even though you can override the decision, you can make this hello first, and then demo one will run next or later on. You can set up that your own preference, even though if this is the natural the order to execute a test cases, but you can override, you can set up your own preference by using another annotation from the testng. So annotation is very important that you have to know. Okay, so let's get to know the annotation. What are those annotation? What does it mean? And before we go annotation, one more thing we have to know about in your, so after you convert your project to testng, you have few other folder like testng, right guys? You have a testng folder, everyone?
Yeah.
And if you open this, you will see there is a some of the jar file, right? Some of the jar file automatically comes. So those are the jar file. It's nothing, it's like we use the annotation, and this annotation means something. What does it, how it's understand your class, your code? This is a test this method is a test. All this code is coming from here. Those are nothing, it's testng library reference, the library, some of the codes, as well as you will probably see there is a reference library also. I think the reference library is from the beginning. We import all of the info, code for WebDriver information. So those are the Selenium library, the reference library. Remember the 5 or 7 jar files we had to import at the very beginning. So those are this, and the testng, it has its own library. This is the own library. Okay, so and then you will see there is another file. It's called testNGframework file. You don't have all these 3 like me. You have, I think, one file which is called testNGframework. Everyone have that file?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to understand very well this testNGframework file. So let's open, double click your testNGframework file. And after we understand the testNGframework file, we'll get back to our exercise. Our our annotations.
Yeah, I have just only one XML file.
Yeah, its name is testng.xml, right?
Yes, but
Yeah,
not the other 2.
No, you will not have other 2. I created
Oh.
for this is my existing project, so I created more files, so you will have just only one. That's fine. Everyone open your testng.xml file. So
But I have no any code, only.
Yeah, you don't have a code. I know you don't have the code. What you have a structure. Testng. You have a let's say, let me see if I have the.
How did you open it?
Just double click. Double click on testng.xml file.
Because mine looks different than yours.
Yeah, mine one is I have a lot of code there. You don't have all this code. You have just the template. You have just template. You have, what do you have? I can tell you. You have suit. You have this line. It's fine. This is a very common line. And then you have a suit name. There's nothing over here. Like I give a name, loan department, but you don't have nothing. This is the structure of your template of testng. That's a by default. And then you have a test thread, this line, but there is after the name you have nothing up there. And you have a classes, but I'm pretty sure you don't have anything inside like class, right? I have like few classes. You don't have those. You have just classes. You don't have a method because I put the method later on, and then you have a test, closing test. So you have a starting test, is closing test, and you have a lastly you have a suit, closing suit, right? Pretty much that's all you have.
Correct. Yeah.
I can let me explain you. Let me copy this and go there. Maybe not add item. So you have this let me, so you have you have a suit, but you don't have the suit name. You don't have nothing here. Maybe you don't have do you have a name? Probably no name, but nothing, right? Suit, or maybe you don't have a name either, just a suit, right? You don't have this part, and then you don't have a classes, you don't have this part, and you don't have this part too.
I think the chat message. That's what I have.
Yeah, so pretty much this is the structure format. I think that's all you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the ideal structure or very default template. Testng.xml is the heart of Testng. Okay, Testng is a framework to build your automation as a dynamic way, so that it's give you more control. And XML file, this is the let me give you XML file is this is the it's one of the core or heart of your Testng framework. So let me give you the new code, please. Okay, I think it's a new line link. I think we have 1 minute left. Okay, so let's understand the testng file. Okay, so testng XML file, this file, it's a heart of your testng. Okay, this will give you the the most control, one touch finishing control that will help you. Remember that I told you, like, you have a project and you have a package, and then we have a lots of say classes, as usual. We have seen even our demo project before we did, and you have to run one by one class. You couldn't run all of the classes if you want, and every class you have a lots of method, lots of different test cases. But if you want to run all of them together, how you can run? That's your testng.xml file. Testng.xml file is one central place where you can run you can run this file, and this file will trigger all of your classes, and no matter how many methods you have inside each class, as well as I said, if you want, you can exclude some of the method. It means again is function, or you can say test cases. So one class you have a 20 test cases, and you want to run 10, and you don't want to run rest of the 10. You can mention that things in your testng.xml file. So in a testng.xml file, you can run all the classes. You can run some of the classes and some of them not. You can run all the classes but some of the method and some of the method not. You can include some of the method, you can exclude. All those things you can do in this testng.xml file. So you have to you have to design, redecorate your testng file as testng.xml file the way you want, and then just run this file. Just run this one single file, and it will trigger your execution the way you want. Okay, that's why testng.xml file is called heart of your testng framework. That's give you the central control. Okay, so let's see the testng.xml file, what comes with it by default. So by default, usually this is pretty much the structure. So this is
I send you my picture, like how is my one look like. in the Zoom.
In the Zoom chat
Get
box.
the
And chat remote control. Can you send me on our Slack
oh, okay.
so everybody else also can see?
This one also. Okay.
Send it over here. Just copy the code and paste it there.
Yeah.
It should be pretty much same because you have nothing. It shouldn't be. It's an empty template right now.
Does it go?
Copy and paste.
Yeah, I need to press. Sorry.
Oh, you took the screenshot.
Yeah, I took the screenshot. Yes.
Oh, you took the screenshot. Okay, that's why. So you have a. You click on. Did you click on design?
I don't click anyone.
Yeah.
Anything. Just you tell me to double click that one. I do.
Okay, and at the bottom, you see that you have a two option: design and source.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I need to press. Which one I need to press?
Select the other one. I think it's a source. Click on source.
Yes.
Now it should be an HTML code,
Yeah, it is like
right?
what you show. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the design, how it looks, and the table of everything, and the code source is like it shows more like code, like how it's going to be your code. So let's come to here. So you have pretty much like this. So in this code, this is very standard code. You don't have to worry. Let's go this part. This is the hierarchy. Just remember that, but this is the hierarchy of your testng. You have to follow the hierarchy. You can't move if your test annotation here, say your test annotation here, test annotation, the closing of your test annotation here, you can't copy and you can put test annotation at the end after the suit. No, you can't do this. You have to follow this. I mean, you can add a lot of steps between this the tag name, but you can't move their position. The position is your suit would be number one. This is number one position. Suit would be at the very top. You can see every tag, it has its closing tag too. So your suit is the first hierarchy. It is the top. Okay, this is number one, and that's why this is it has an in suit at the very end, the closing suit at the very end. It's like you can say your head, opening head, and it's like a foot. So between this you have to put everything. And here, so this is your suit is number one hierarchy, and inside the suit, next position in your test, this is number two. The test position, the test tag is the position number two. So test cannot be before suit. Okay, so and every opening tag you will have a closing tag. You will see there is a test is also here. So this, since test is here is after suit, so this will be closed before suit too. It automatically comes. You don't have to change their position, but just you have to remember the position. So like suit is first, then it's test, so test closing, and then inside the test you will have your all of the classes. So classes is the position number 3, and it will be inside the test. So inside the test, between the test, you will have a classes, and the classes after that, this is the default one, and the classes you can make it more, break it down. You can put class. So classes, it means multiple classes, right? So inside the classes you can have more class. I mean, that's why it says say the classes. So you can have a CLA class, then you can put the class name equals to, you can put all of your classes. If you want to say example, in my exercise I have a lots of class, like base class, you can say base 1, day 1, day 2, day 3. If you want to just mention the three class you want to run. So you can put all the classes name that you want to run between these classes. The format is class name, that inside here you will put between this double quotation, you will put your package name, the package name dot your class name. So what does it mean? The format is to write your package name. You have to remember, you have to, when you say class name, the format would be package name dot class name. So package name, it means what's the package. If I want to run day one, I want to consider to run the day one when I'm going to execute this file. So it will run day one. So you have to, the format is your class name equals to, you will put the package name. What is your package name? Test, T-E-S-T. So T-E-S-T, test dot your class name. So it means day one. So similarly, all the classes you want to execute, you can put inside these classes. Same way. So maybe you want to run day 3. So it will run day 1 and day 3. It will not run day 2. Okay. So all of the classes going to here. So I will come in more breakdown part, like classes inside the classes. Then you can include or exclude some of the method. So that's the control is coming up. So let's go back to suit. What is suit? Suit, it's like a, you can say here your one project, you can say the suit is like by the name of the whole project. You can say that we know this, we create a suit like smoke suit, right? Smoke test cases, it's just one suit. Or you created test cases for regression, right? So it's like big umbrella. Like example, I give you here, I give a name. So you will give a name, whatever the name. Suit is like I say loan department. So all of the test cases in this project, it's related from the, say example, if we think about the bank, the bank have a lot of department. One of the department is loan department, and in the loan department it is a lot of other function sub department like personal loan, car loan, home loan, lots of it. So suit is the combination of subset, subsuit. I mean, it's a your project pretty much. What about this project? You will give your suit name, something like that. So I give a suit. So you can add the name over here, and it's up to you. What do you want to give? The way you are going to write suit name equals to, then you'll put a double quotation, and then you'll put the name, whatever the name you want to give. Example, I give over here in my one. If you see there, I put in beside. In my example, if you notice that my Testng.xml, the green one, you can say I give a suit name. It's a loan department. I'm assuming that this is the test cases related with from the bank, and it's all the test cases for the loan department. So I give a name over here. Okay, loan department, and then you test is like a test folder. Your test name, it could be, it means you are saying test, it's like test folder or module. More like you can think about module, one function. Say you're considering the loan department, this is all of the, this is one of the test module. It's going to be personal loan. You may have another one like car loan. One suit you can have a multiple test folder or multiple test module. That's fine. Like one suit, like it's a one application, one of the big part, and inside this you may have a sub, some module, right? Say here it's loan department. I said one of my tests is personal loan. I can create another one. I can create another test module. Just copy it, and over here you give a name. Okay, name this is, you will say car loan, and then inside the car loan you can put whatever the class it should be. So inside the personal loan you can put whatever the class should be part of a personal loan class. It means the test cases, right? Every class have a day one, every class have a lot of test cases. So if all the test cases related to your personal loan module, you can put all the test cases over here. It means all the classes, list of the classes over here inside the classes tag. Similarly, you will write some of the classes over here. Those are belongs to car loan. If it's a car loan, so you can give a name. Okay, your test module, its name is car loan, and these classes are, so maybe your day 2 and day 4, these two class, it's it has a lot, all the methods or test cases belongs to car loan. So you can put all this, whatever the class would be over here, it's up to you. So you have to remember that things. Okay, this class have the methods, all of the test cases for this car loan. So I will mention this test cases or classes inside this car loan module. So you can have as many as module or test folder. You can just remember test folder. We'll see here we create one package, and then we put all the classes inside the package. We can create another folder, another package. So one package can have some of the classes. Say this is related to the personal loan. I can create another package, give a name car loan, and that package inside I can put all the classes and the test cases related to the car loan. So you can put everything, all the different module or different test folder. You can say test folder, just test package over here, just test. This is the only one, but in real life you will have a lot more. So you can put everything, more than one or as many test folder. You can think about as a folder or think about as a module in one test suite or one XML file. But you have to remember your suite would be at the very end, and for this test you have a closing test, and for this test you have a closing test. Inside the formats you will have a classes. So between opening and closing classes tag, you will put all the classes, whatever the classes you want to be part of this car loan or this module, right? And inside this you can now segregate. If you say you have a day 2 class, and then this day 2 class you have some of the method you don't want to run this time, you want to exclude, you can do this. Inside this is the breakdown. Inside this you can say method, so class name. Here one more thing. So if you want to run all the method from a class, say day 1 class you have a 20 methods, you want to run all of them, you have a the opening, every tag you have an opening, and you have to put the must closing tag too. So for class name you put the package dot class name, and you want to make sure you want to run all the classes, all the method inside this day 1. So make sure you close this your class also over here, the closing tag. Similarly you close this, put the closing tag. So it means all the method in day 2 or day 1 will be executed. But if you want, say in day 4, example day 4 class, you want to exclude one of the method. If you want to do some exclude or include for a specific class, that time you don't close over here, don't close here, because this class information is not done yet. You want to make it exclude. So inside this, after this class, here you make another tag which is called method. So you'll say methods, similar like a classes. So you can put over here method, opening method and closing method. Then method method excuse me, and let's put a closing method too. So closing method, it means the forward slash and method methods. Sorry, it would be methods like classes. It will be methods, and between these methods, this opening and closing methods, you will put this word. You will put exclude if you want to exclude, 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 and then exclude name equals to what you want to exclude. Exactly the method in this day 4 you want to exclude. Just put the method name. Say example, mobile login method, you wanna exclude it, you don't wanna run it right now. So, and then close it. Okay, so this way, this method from this day 4 class, it will be excluded, it will not run this time. So you can, this way you can exclude any specific method, you can include any exclude method. If you don't put anything, if you don't put method, it will run all the methods, all the test cases from this class. But that time you have to make sure you close the bracket, your tag. Here we didn't put because I want to exclude one, and that's why I put the closing at the end of my exclude method name. So this way you go. So this part you have to add it. It doesn't come as a by default. The by default is comes your suit, and then your one test module or folder, and then your closing test, and then classes, and then your closing tag, test, and then your closing suit. Okay, but rest of the part, since it depends on you, what class is going to be under, what module, it's up to you. What method you want to include or exclude, it's up to you. That's why it's, that part, those are not the default function, but that's the default things you can customize. But just you have to make sure you don't change the position of those the tag. You leave the tag as it is. If you need more, just add one more, right? Add one more module, that's fine. Is that make sense, guys? Clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're gonna do, I just give you some brief idea, about this Testng.xml file, and when you're going to do the real practice, we'll do some exclude, we'll do some include, we'll create multiple module, all those things, we'll do it. But how the default template get changed, like you didn't understand at the beginning when I opened this my XML, and you want it just like pretty much empty, just few lines. Here is if I go through my one, you can see I have a like day 1 up to day 5, and there's more classes. I put, say example, I create one module, personal loan, and I put in this module, I said, okay, day 1, day 2, day 4 is going to be my classes, and I'm going to run all the method for day 1 and day 2. But day 4, I have one of the method, login API home loan, I don't want to run it, I want to exclude it. That's why inside this class I added another 2 tag called methods, because classes, inside the classes, those are the methods, and I said I want to exclude this one. I create another module, I give a name car loan, and then don't worry about this parameter, you will not understand for now the parameter, will come to the point later on about the parameter. But here there's a classes, again classes, I said inside the classes my class is day 3, but again I want to exclude one of the method like this one. And then as usual, for this test, this is the closing one, and this is the one test closing for this, and then my final suit is closed. Now if I run it, it will run exactly the way I declare over here, and it will create a report over here the same way. Okay, so that's the Testng.xml. Now I think now you can feel it, how powerful this Testng.xml. It's give you the central control, and you can declare the way you want. Okay, so this is Testng. Just remember, this is Testng.xml file. So when I will go back to the annotation part. the annotation of the testng. We haven't covered this, right? I said just one, I explained one annotation, which is test. There's a lot of annotation, you know, and those annotations application, those annotation execution, sometimes some of the annotations work in XML level, I mean this XML file level. Some of them work on the execution, you know, or apply on class level, like day 1, day 2, those are class. Okay, let's go to my some of the list of the annotation. Now you will understand. In my notes, if you go a little bit down, so we have seen one of the annotation. I think this is the one, the default template we explained. So we have seen one annotation, which is the test at the red test, right? It means if you use this annotation with a method, it will consider as a pure test case. Now there's a few more annotation. Another annotation is with a method. If you use at the red before test, okay, before there is a, please try to understand. If you have a confusion, ask me, because there was some interview question, you know, they ask from this testng, specifically for annotation. I will tell you. So at the red before test annotation, so there will be method, and in a method,
do you record the this thing?
I think I'm doing. Let me double check. I think yes, it's recording. Yeah, it's recording.
Thank you.
There you go. So before test, the before annotation, at the red before test annotation. So what does it mean? You can have a, let me show you first. You can see there is a method I create. It's you know, the run before test, the method name, and here I use at the red before annotation. Like other one I use test. It means this method is pure test cases, but this method is not the test cases. It's not the test cases, but it's required for test cases. It's you know, it's necessary to run to complete your test cases. So you may have, as I said, you may some information, some code you need to execute before you run your test cases. So those kind of information, you can create a method and put all this code inside this method, and you want to make sure run this method before this actual test case run. Without those code, this method cannot run, right? So if you have the scenario something like this, you know, you can use at the red before test. Now it has a different meaning. At the red before test method, you know, it will, let's see the read this stuff. So at the red before test annotation means it depends on testng.xml file based on test folder scope. It uses this annotation through a method to do any execution. So probably this part, this line is not clear to you. I will explain you. Let's see what said this is. It uses this annotation. So this annotation uses through a method. So it means it comes with a method. A method before a method, you can use this at the red annotation. I just show you the way you're gonna write. Like this is the method, and you write this at the red annotation. So this annotation comes with a method. Method through a method to do any execution. So it does the execution before any other test run in a test folder module. So make it clear, yeah, or easy. This method, so example I have this method will run before it will apply. First, this is called before test. Just remember the word before test. It means we have a XML file. Let's close this guy. We have our XML file. In our XML file, we have a test folder. Remember, we do have a test folder, and then you give a test name, folder name or module name. So in your XML file, you have a test folder, which is the position right after your suit. And in this test, what do we put? In test folder, we put all the list of your classes, and every classes you have multiple methods. So any one of the method, like day 1, day 2, day 4, from there any one of the method, any one of the class, any method from among those classes, you use this, say day one is the example. Here is I have a class day 1, day 2, day 4. I'm saying this 3 classes is part of my test personal loan test module, right? And in day 1, I have one of the method is called run before test. So this method will run, this method, first of all, this method will be applicable since you have a before @test module. It will be applicable, it will consider on your test XML file. It will applicable on test XML file, not in your class level. It will be applicable in your XML file level. In your XML file level, it will check right away this method, the priority, when this method is going to be run. This method, it will check, okay, in my XML level, in my XML file, I have a test module. It will before test module, always a method always apply to your XML file test level. Since the name is before test, it means in your XML file you have a test module, and that method will run in this test module before any one of the method you have in this class. I mean in this module, whatever the method you have with all of the classes, this will run first. Then it will run rest of the classes, rest of the methods in this different classes. Is that clear? Make sense? So here I'm saying in day 1. So where is day 1? In day 1, I'm saying in personal loan. So when I will execute this class, this file, it will run. It will say, okay, in my personal loan module, I have 3 classes: day 1, day 2, day 4, and in day 4 there will be one method exclude. Without this method, all the methods will be run. Say day 1, day 2, and day 4. Example, you have 30 methods. It's going to run 30 methods, 30 test cases. Between these 30 test cases, in day 1, I'm saying in my day 1 class, I declare one method, and I say this method is before test. So this method will be run before any one of these 30 methods you have in these 3 classes. Is that clear now? That's why they give a name. It's called before test. It means the method is going to run before any one of the methods in your test module, in XML file, whatever you declare over here. So if you have a day 1 have its own test method, like some of them like demo 2, and then day 2, if you go day 2, it has a method is called one method, so there's another it will there is in day 2 you have another test method. So in day 4 there is a few more test methods. So whatever the number of test method you have in this module, in this test module, among all of them, day 1, from the day 1, this method, this run before method, this method will run first, will run once and first, and after that it will run all the methods from the day 1. So rest of the methods from the day 1, like related with the test annotation, just test annotation, it will run, and then rest of the method, all the methods from day 2 will run, and then all the method from day 4 except this one will run. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
Right? So just think about by the name of the annotation. It said before test. Since it's a test word, so before, it means definitely this method will run before. Before who? Before who? That part you have to remember by the name. It's called before test. It means in your testng.xml file you have a test module, and this method definitely is part of one of the class, and that class is part of one of the your module. So whatever the module, and among that in this module, whatever the number of classes and number of test cases you have, among them this method will be run at the very first. So that's the meaning of the at the rate before test annotation. So now if you go back here, if you read now, at the rate before test, it depends on testng.xml file. So it depends on testng.xml file because the test module is declared on your XML file, right? We create a test module, test, that's test, and that this is the test name. So this is a test, you can say test module name or test folder name, right? So it's created on XML file. That's why I said here it depends on testng.xml file based on test folder scope. Whatever the method is comes with the before test annotation, it's based on testng.xml file, and whatever the test test folder name you give, it will go there. And then you will see, okay, how many classes you declare you want to run. 1 2 3 4 classes. How many methods among them? Say 20 methods. That's fine. It will run first. Okay, so that's the meaning of this line. Then it says it uses this annotation through a method. So definitely you write, when you write this annotation, and it comes with a method. So definitely, it means this annotation will apply just immediate right after is the method you declare. So that means this method, it means this the code you put inside. Okay, that part is very simple.
Sorry, just confused. So this doesn't have anything to do with the method name, right? Method name could be anything.
Say that again. It doesn't mean anything. I didn't catch your last part.
So it's not dependent on the method name before test annotation. So the method name could be anything, right?
Yeah, method name, it's up to you. Whatever the method name. Method name doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right? It is all about that. We're talking about annotation. So any method you can make before test. Any method you can make test. Any method you can make after test. But when you know what does mean that annotation, what is does by this annotation, it means that time you will think what method you need to run before all of the methods, all of the test cases run. If you have any requirement, something like that, okay, you must need to run this method before it execute any other classes, any other methods. Then you can create a method, give a name, and use the before annotation, before at the rate test annotation. So it will run at the first, but it's supposed to make sense. But if it doesn't help you to run this method before any other methods, then it's not the proper or best use case. Say example, here is, as I said, you need to data clean first or prerequisite before running any test. So before you run any test cases, you want to make sure you want to clean your data. Like remember the delete cookies. So delete cookies is one of the initial thing we want to do. Our first few lines in our code, we have seen that we did delete cookies, right? Driver.delete cookies. The delete cookies, what it does, it clean the cookies from your browser, so that your browser doesn't have the previous story, previous information, doesn't have the previous cache that can be interrupt, that can be give you a different result, but which is not realistic. So so you want to, this is one of the prerequisite stuffs. So you can, and other hand, the common or very easy example is like giving all of the information related with your driver, like driver information, driver key, using set method, system.set method. Then you put the driver key and the driver location, right? Our first few things. So we need those code. Doesn't matter how many class you have, each and every class before and any method you run, you need to give that your Chrome driver information if it's based on Chrome driver. So that could be one of the prerequisite things, and you want to make sure you run this one first. So just our previous one of the example. So just now whatever we have learned, we're now make it more systematic way. That's the way we're now is breaking down, breaking our code. So we have learned to write all the code in one class, one class, one method. Now this is like a prerequisite steps. or like your driver information. You, no matter what, if you have, each and every classes, say example, every class have one method, every classes, every method, you have these common things. Without this code, if you just remove this code and you run it, your code will not execute, right? So this is like something you want to run before any test case you execute. Does that make sense? So similar something like a code, if you have something you want to run before any test cases you must, and based on this, you go to the application and go somewhere, since it's all of the test cases will be part of one application, so you go to the application and then move on with more test cases. So this is the before, test cases, before test. You want to make sure this code will execute first, and after that you want to do actual test cases. So something similar like this, if people, they create one method, say you give a name, say example method name, say driver initialize, and then you put all the code inside this method, and you put this method with a @before annotation, and so this method will run, no matter how many classes you added. So as I was saying, so no matter how many classes you are going to add, this method will run at the between among all of the methods, all of the classes at the first, because this is the prerequisite. Without the driver information, your test cases, the rest of the test cases will not able to perform. It doesn't know, you will not know where is your driver, what's browser you are going to use. So similar something when you need to run before you run any one of the test cases, you can create a method, give the code related about with the information, and put this method with a before annotation, before test annotation. But just you have to remember, this method will look since its name is before and test, so it means what is the test? Your test is in your XML file. There is a test. Test is nothing, it's a test module. You're talking about test module. So it will find the test module where this test method is under the class, because it already knows. Okay, this method is under the test day1 class. So it will go to XML file. It will check where this day1, where this day1 class under what module. So it will say, okay, this is the module name. So over here. Then it will find right away how many other classes you have in this module. It will see, okay, you have a day 2, day 4, and it will see, okay, it doesn't matter, how many classes, method you have, all the classes. It will say, okay, I'm going to run this, I'm going to run first. That method will say, I'm going to run first, and then the rest of the method will be run from class to class as per the requirement, as per the your what's called as per your order. If you put the order, you can do this, okay, or it will run by its natural order, which is alphabetical order. Okay, so it will apply. So before test annotation, again I'm saying, before test annotation method will be executed comparing your testng test module, testng test module declaration. Why do you declare how many methods you have in different classes, and it will be run before any other methods. That's the easiest way I think I explain. I think it should be clear now to everyone. Clear?
Yes.
Right?
Can we have like multiple test cases in using the before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At that time, now the question will be which one is going to be. So all those will be run before regular test method. Right, at the red test is going to, that's for sure. Now between them, say you have a 3 method with a before test method. Which one is going to be run first? Which one is going to run second? You can either set a priority. Say you have a one before at the red before test. There is a one method over here, and you have another one. Okay, you have another one with the before test. So between these two, which one is going to run? if you go through with a natural, like a default process, it means it will follow the name will be followed by the alphabetical order. So in alphabetical order, which one is the first, that one will be run first and then next. Or if you want to set up a priority, you can set up a priority. We'll see later on how you can set up a priority with the before test with the annotation. There is a, inside this you can set up a priority also for your method to run first, second. You can do it. Okay, you can set up a priority. So then as per your priority, that one will be run first, or it will follow alphabetical, the name's alphabetical order. Is that clear now? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, next is after after test. It's just opposite. After test means now it's very easy. We understand this method will be run again in your test module based on your XML test module, and where this method belongs to test, what test module, it will find that, and it will see how many test method you have. All the methods will be run, and it will be run at the very end. After all the test methods it runs from that module, it will be run at the very end. What's example? This is one of the examples, just simple example. Stop the process or delete cookies. Sometimes you want to delete cookies at the very end, you can do it, or at the very beginning. So before it runs any method, any new classes or any new module, you can if you want to delete your old cookies, you can delete it, or disconnect the connection from your database. So you write some test cases, that's all belongs to database, and then at the end, you want to make sure you are disconnected from your database. So you create a separate method, and you write the test code related update to disconnect from your database, and you use the @annotation with that method. It means this will be applied at the very end after you do all of your database testing. Okay, so it will, but just remember that this before method and after test method, this method will be either will run at the very beginning or will run at the very end, but it's a once. Okay, why I say once, you will understand when I will explain few more annotation. Okay, just once, just remember that part. Let's move on. Before should, so you may have a method with a before before should or before after should. It's a similar concept. Again, if you have a method with the before should, it will apply again in testng, because should is also in your testng.xml file, right? This is your should. Should is the first part on your testng.xml file. So in your testng.xml file, if you have a multiple module, doesn't matter how many module you have, test module, right? Test folder or test module, and every module you have a lots of classes, lots of methods. So if you have one of the method in any class, doesn't matter what class, it could be a method could be from this personal loan, or method could be from another car loan, and there is a classes, and that method inside any one of the classes. But if you have any method with @before should, it will be applied in your testng.xml file in should level, and it will be run at the very first among all the classes, all the methods in your entire testng.xml declaration. Clear? It's a similar, but this will say the other one was a before method, so it will only applicable to a specific test module, right? Guys, are you following me?
Yes.
So the other one was, it was only specifically one test module. So that method, it was belongs to any test module, and it will be run among the test cases in that module. That method will not run on another module before any other methods in another module. It's not. It's really specific to a specific module where that method or part of the module. But if you have before should, it doesn't matter how many module, like test module you have, how many classes you have, how many methods you have, that method will run before anyone, because that method is applied to comes to in suit level. So suit is the very top hierarchy in your XML, is the highest level priority. Remember that I give a number, I said suit is the first. So that's why if there is something applied to suit level in your XML, it will be executed at the very top. And then if you have a before test, it will run on before test depending on what module it's belong to. And then similarly at the rate after suit, it will run at the very end in your suit level here. The suit level at the end it means closing suit. So after running all the methods, all the classes, everything is done, the method it's belong to at the rate after suit, it will be run at the very end. Now what method, it's really depends upon you. It's not mandatory that you have to use, but when you are going to use, it depends on you, and you know that the benefit and when it's going to be run. When you know that information, and if you think you are putting any method that will be after suit, that will be before suit, it's up to you. If you don't use none of them, doesn't matter. So this is all depends. That's why framework, it's called, framework, it has one title that's called architecture level idea. This is an architecture level idea. So what the architecture does, architecture, he make a design, it's a platform, it's building, right? So you are going to design your framework the way you want. It depends on your clients request, depends on your company require, it depends on your plan. Okay, so what method will go before test, after test, before suit, after suit, it's all depends on you. It's nothing, it just give you some idea. It has the stuff, but you have to know which one you can use where. Okay, so that's about the before suit and after suit annotation that use the method. Now here is the interesting part. Before method, we have seen before test, after test. Now before method, so you may have a method with a at the rate before method annotation. So the interesting part now, what is the difference between before test and before method? So if you have a method, say, read very carefully, this is the interview question. They ask you the difference between before test annotation, before method annotation. If you have a method with the before method annotation, this method apply to your class level. This is not applied to your test XML level, because here the other one before test, since it's a test, this that's why it's applied to your testNGxml. There is a test folder, but here it's called the before method. So all the methods written in your actual class. So you have a class day one, you have all the methods over here, like different methods like test methods, other methods. So if you have a before, let me see where is the I have a before before method, test before suit. You can see here is a before suit. I use before method. So here before method, you have a method and it's given name, it's before. I use a before method annotation. So this method's execution, it belongs to only class level. So it is on what class? Its class is day 3. In this class, whatever the method you have over here, it will run before all of the method, and not once. It will run multiple times. How many times? If you have a, say, how many test methods you have? Say here, if you have there is a 1 test method, there is a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, it has become test. This is all a pure test cases. This is not test case, this is before suit. So you have a, so far 3, there's another one, it's called test. You have a 4 test cases over here. And if you have any before method before method annotation, this method will run 4 times, will run before each and every methods you have, test methods you have in this class. Is that a confusion, or is it a make sense? Understand that? So before method will apply. That's why I always said it will applicable to class level, not XML Testng.xml level. So there's no relation in XML level. It's on applicable in over here in class level. In this class level, it will run, this method will run before every time you have, you know, what the how many methods you have, actual test method you have in this class. If you have a 10 test class, 10 test method, it means it will come with @ annotation tag, @ annotation test tag. Just always remember, this is the pure test method. Okay, so if you have a 10 test method in the same class, and if you have a one before method, this before method will run 10 times. It means before every method, you know, it's every test method it runs, this method will run first, and then it will run. So example, here you have a first test method, this one. So before it runs this method, your before method, this will be executed first, and then when it will find, your code will find, okay, I have more another test method, this is another test method, that before method will run again, and then this will run. So it will run multiple times, or how many times, it depends on how many test method you have in the same class. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? So if you go here, now definition, I said each and every test is nothing but method. You know, I make it clear again. So each and every test is nothing, it's a method. We know it's now everything is we have to create by under a method. So before method is a specified to a class file. It's specified to a class file. It's not an XML file. So whatever the class, you know, whatever the class you have this before method, it will be only limited to this class, not any other class. And this method will run before each and every method or test method is a test method, right? Which means this test method, it means in this class we're talking about actual the method, it comes with test annotation. Clear, guys? Everyone? I know it's a little bit confusing, and that's why this is an interview question. If you go a little bit down, I wrote over here the question. What is the difference between before method and before test annotation? So answer is here. @ before method runs in class level before each and every method or test in that class. So example, if you have a 4 method in a class and one before annotation method, it will run 4 times. Other hand, before test runs in testNG.xml file in module or test folder level. It runs first or only once for that specific module, and then all the test cases or methods runs under all the classes in that module. Is that make sense? This answer now, as we explained.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not, I mean, maybe it will be confused, but please just think a little bit deeply. Okay, so go through these notes. You have the notes. That's why I wrote as much, you know, as much a simple way so that you can understand it. Okay, and mostly common interview question. This has happened. It was asked. I was asked this question in Bell. So I had an interview on Bell. So they asked me, you know, this question. So, you know, it happened in my life too. And obviously when I take the interview nowadays, I ask these questions if the person have the Selenium knowledge. Okay, So let's, and after method, it's the same idea. If you understand the same, so this specific method will run, same thing, will run, it will apply to class level again, and it will run after each and every test method you have on that specific class. So again, same thing, if you have a 4 test methods and one after method, it will run 4 times, but at the end of your, after you is finished one test method, and then it will run this one, and again it will run the your actual test method, then this will run. One of the things, remember, we use after test method, a lot of times people they use with a driver.quit. Remember, at the end of our every class, every previously we have learned, we close our window. Remember that we close our window, close our browser. So usually people they use a common method. They give a name is called tear down. At the end of your class, at the end of your class, or after writing all of your methods, people they to close their window or browser, they create a one method is called tear down method, and inside this tear down method they put the code for to close your browser. We know the code, which is driver.quit or driver.close. Simple one code. As I said, in your real life test cases, now forget about you writing all the code in under one method. Now everything you are going to do, every specific action you are going to do is have to be under a method. So that's why closing the browser, that's what happened at the very end. Or you can close your browser after you done one single test cases. You do one test cases, close the browser, so that you don't have a multiple lots of window open. It will be slow down your execution, slow down your machine. So to do this, and so you want to perform closing method, you want to perform this closing method, execute this method after each and every actual test case you run. So you can write this method, give a name. This is a common name, so everybody use this. This method name is called tear down, and put the driver.quit or close, and this methods comes with the after method annotation. So in that class, if you have a 10 test cases, every test cases, after every test case execute, this tear down method will execute. So it will open the browser, do the job, and then close it. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost done. There's a few more. We'll learn the rest of them, but this is the few things at the beginning you have to know, and that we're going to use in our exercise. And then before class before class or after class. So you may have a method, it's up to you again. It's not necessary you have to use all of them. Which one you are going to use, it's all up to you. Some people they use all of them, some people they use few of the annotation. It all depends on you, but you have to know the meaning and difference and use case. You may have a method with a @before class, @before class, so which is @before class or after class. So it is, again, since it's called a class, definitely this method will apply to that specific class, and it will run among all the methods you have in that class. Here is the difference before class. So if you have a class day 3, and within one method is called before class. Okay, before class. So among over here, we saw the before method. If you have a before method, we said, okay, the before method apply in your class level, and it will run before each and every test method you have in this class. So you may have usually people they don't keep like before method and before class, two different annotation in the same class. Usually that's rare. But even though you do it, this method, this before annotation, before class method, this method will run at the beginning of all of the methods you have in this class, even though before this before method. So because it's called before class, it's saying in this class this method will be run before among all the methods. So no matter how many methods you have, what methods. It could be you have a 10 test methods, you have a one before methods, you have a one after methods. Among all of them, this, because this apply to direct your class level and is the top of priority in your class level. That's why it said before class. So class, this word, it's give you the high priority. Here is it's called method. It says it will method, it means it will run before any methods you have, which comes with a test annotation. Test annotation, only test annotation. It's not, this before test will not get higher priority than before class. Before class is the higher priority because it's applied to your direct class level, top. And before method, between the methods, but it's specifically for only between the test annotation method. Is it clear, this part? Before class. And if you understand the before class, at the rate after class, same. Just it will run at the very end, even after method, it will run at the very end. And once, here is the thing, it once. Before method or after method, it's going to be run multiple times. It depends on how many test method you have. But before class, after class, it will run once. At the beginning, at the very end, specifically for this class. Clear, guys?
So, but what's usually in before class?
Well, that's why I said, you may do not have people, they don't use all this like before method, before class, after suits, all of them in one class. Usually people, they don't use. Again, you can use before class. Here your initialization stops. Okay, what's your URL? Like one, usually people, your application will be one common URL, www.example.com. So you may make sure that, okay, to launch that application first before you do anything in this class, you can put that code. Okay, driver.get, you pass your URL. You can do this. Exactly what things you are going to put, it's really depends on you, but it had to be make sense, right? You want to close your browser. If you put your code over here, driver.quit, in a before class, that doesn't make sense, right? You don't want to close your browser before you start any test cases, right? So something you need that you want to put either probably you want to execute at the very beginning, so it could be, you can use that sense. Okay, if you need one time, you need some execution, you need to perform some tasks just one time in this class level, you can put before class. But if you need to perform some tasks before you run every test cases, say clear your browser, like delete cookies, that's a good practice. You may want to run that code before you run any new test cases run, so that your browser is always empty, it doesn't have any cache or any previous story. Then you can use that those code, driver.delete all cookies under the before method. Here before class, yes, something like that, or you may put over here your all of the driver initial steps that will be run once. It will give you all of the driver information. So you can put those things in before class, or you can put those things in before suit too, right? Either way, if you put the before suit, so it will be run always at the very beginning among all of your suits, so one time. But if you need something to run, so maybe you want to run your some test cases in day 3 specifically with a different browser, not Chrome browser, so you may just put this code related, like Firefox browser related stuff over here in one method, and you said, okay, this will run just for this day 3 class. It will run at the very beginning among all of the methods I have in this class. It will not impact on the other classes. So it's really depends on your requirement and situation. but it have to be make sense so that it doesn't, you know, interrupt your framework logic. Clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much up to that. I think in the next class we'll do some example with these classes, and then we'll run it, we'll see the output. That will be make more sense. It just one more, I think, annotation. It's called groups. You know, let's see, groups, it means you can have it's called tag name. You can give a tag name. Tag name, say example, you have a test here in day 3, you have a test, one test over here, and then in day 2 you have another test in over here. You want to make them a group. You can say okay and give a name. Say this is group, say you say Selenium. You give it beside this, there is a way you can declare to group like test, then you write a group keyword equals to, and then you give a group name. So what will happen, and you put this group name. If you want to tie up some of the test cases from different classes or even same classes, it's up to you. Make a group that, you know, you can do this. So you write that way, the syntax after the test annotation, you write this and give a name group. So example, you give a name, this test case, a group is called Selenium from day 2, and day 3 you give a name or same group. You said okay, this will be under the same group, this will be same group. Specifically people make it smoke test. So you have all the different class and lots of methods in a test cases. It's all together, it's regression. But out of, you know, all those test cases, you wanna find out okay, 20 test method is going to part of smoke. So you give a name, you okay, this test case is going to part of a smoke. So you make a give a tag name group and give a tag name. Tag name is smoke test. So similarly in day 2 you want to make this test case part of a smoke test. You give a name smoke test, give the same name. So in your XML file, you know, you can run only, say now your it's time to run your smoke test, you know. So you have to, in your XML file, you can just declare the group. You can say okay, just run all the test cases by the group name smoke. So it will only execute all the methods, all the test cases which is by the group name. You see the benefits? So it will not execute rest of them. So you don't have to create separate project just for the smoke test. You know, you don't have to do this. You don't have to write all the test cases. Just copy and paste. Even you don't have to do it. You leave it as it is. Just you give the group name, tag the group name, and just declare the your group, and you run the your test cases only by the group name. Okay, that's another things you can do. It's called using a group tag name. So this is the way you can say over here. Group is one more annotation of Testng which can be used in the execution of multiple tests. Let's say you have 100 tests of test of class vehicle, and in 10 method of car, 10 method of scooter, and so on. You probably like to run all the test cases related to in a scooter in a batch. So you want to put all of them in a single test suite. Okay, so within the help of the grouping, you can easily overcome this kind of situation. Okay, or you want to run 5 test cases from 5 different classes. You give them a group. The way you are going to do it is a, you know, you as I already explained you wrote at the red test and then say group and then put the group name, whatever the say smoke test you say, with all of the at the red test annotation. And then in your Testng.xml, how you are going to declare to run only groups. This is the way. So your suite name, you have a suite. This is the format, right? You have a test. So we know the test. You put the test folder name for test module. So this is your module name example, practice grouping. And after the test, you are going to, in our regular default Testng.xml file, after the test you have a classes, right? But if you want to add any group, you have to add the group before classes even. So you have to add another annotation, another tag. It's called groups, closing groups. Between the groups, you're gonna write run and closing run, opening run, closing run. Between the opening and closing run, you are going to write, the include name equals to whatever the group name. If your group name was like like a smoke, you will write the same group name. So it will run that group from this through this XML file. Okay, so we'll see, we'll do some of the simple example, but still we'll do the practice. But this is just your details, information, background information, how this works. So you can do the grouping also, tag a group name and do the grouping by the group annotation, and that's part of our testng.xml features. Clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so from next class we're going to do the actual practice. I mean, it's not going to be some real application practice, but we'll make some dummy classes and dummy methods, and every method, so that we can see the output. Our concept would be we'll run and using different parameter annotation, as we said, before test, after test, and we'll see as far we have learned. After we run it, we'll see how the output it shows. Is that output it shows as we explain? Is that a before test methods run 4 times? If you have a 4 test module over here. Okay, so those things we'll do the practice in our next class. Okay, I hope for today that's good enough. There's lots of information inject in within a couple of hours. So I think it's time to now you're going to brush up all the steps before we start next class, so that you have the full concept as far we have covered. And when you are going to do the create the classes and run all the methods, and we'll explain, I will see the output and explain. Hopefully you will able to catch up that time. Okay, please. So I will update this lecture, if it's possible I will make another YouTube, but if it's not, but definitely I will update in our group page. So see this, go through the notes, go through the notes. You will find some of the steps you will not probably understand still, but most of them you will understand up until I have covered. There is the parameter parts you will not understand. In moving forward, I will cover the parameter later on. Okay, you will see the parameterization, but don't worry, we'll cover one by one. Okay.
So when we actually start building the framework, are we going to use like a real website and start building that?
I mean, yes, real website. It means so we'll use probably our websites, like our application, Code automation. From there, we'll take some of the application, some of the tags, and then we'll build the application. I mean, framework using testng, and it will be based on the Maven. We'll talk about Maven. Okay, Maven. It's a market that they use Maven or Gradle. We'll use the Maven. Okay, so hopefully, please, if you didn't cover the practice from last class, do the practice those things, as well as go through this testng tutorial. Okay, and I already give you the updated lecture, I mean the notes. So in Slack, please download it if you don't have the updated one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot. You have a good one, and see you next week.